Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. Today's video sees me on the diametrically opposite side of the screen as I was last time. I'm still experimenting a little bit with the video format, video layout kind of stuff, but that is not particularly relevant for you as of right now. What you're more interested in is the actual content of the video itself, which, as the title of this particular document already shows, it's FanCasting The Witcher. By that I mean what I, a fan of The Witcher, would consider the ideal casting choice for many of the most important characters within this franchise. And keep in mind, when I say ideal casting choices, I pretty much mean these are these are very unlikely to take place, or it is very unlikely that all of them would actually would actually have been possible. But wishful thinking. Allow me to indulge within it a little bit. And what do I mean by ideal casting choice? Well, by that I mean that everyone agrees to it. So, from a financial creative standpoint, there are no divergences. Everyone is available to show up, whenever filming takes place, and no one gets injured at any point, either before or during filming. So anyone who, anyone who can and wants to take part will continue to be able to take part. They will not be incapacitated. That is the ideal. I know it's unlikely, but still, I can present it. This video has a kind of a very convoluted creation history, so to speak. I've already made a few videos on the Witcher adaptation that Netflix has spawned. I had my fair share of ideas about it, which I've even made videos about, and I think even a playlist. You could check it out right there. If I haven't made a playlist at the time of this recording, I'll make one afterwards and then link it up there. And among the ideas I've had about videos about the Witcher franchise was also something like this. What I think would be the best casting choice for, if not for every role, then every major role. My initial plan for that would be to split it into two parts. The first part would contain all the major roles that did not already get cast. The first part, so that was the first part. The second part would consist of all the major roles that have already been cast. So you could compare how I do it with how Netflix did it. Thing is, while I was in the initial stages of research for that particular video, I noticed that a lot of characters who I thought didn't show up did actually show up, but I somehow completely missed them because I don't know, a whole variety of reasons. There was a huge discrepancy between how I pictured them and how they were, and I couldn't really and I couldn't recognize them. So that's when I realized that my initial idea was pretty bad, was not going to work. It wasn't pretty bad, but it wasn't going to work. So I scrapped it. And then in the video I made to celebrate this channel's second anniversary, which I'll also link up there, I talked about this. I talked about this idea, and after I filmed that video, I decided that at least one of the 4 ideas that I've presented in that video is one that I would actually implement. So I made a Twitter poll asking my Twitter followers, among which you can join if you, on which you can also count yourselves if you go to the link in the description, or one of the links in the description. And the option that won out was this one. So people want to see me fan cast The Witcher. I was like, okay. but I will have to do with a different format. So I'll dispense with the has already been cast, has already shown up on screen, hasn't shown up on screen. Thing is, without that, so I decided I would just go, any character I want to talk about, I'll just talk about. Thing is, as I was putting together the initial list, it turns out it was like 18 characters. And the thing about casting 18 different characters is I could do it, but I don't think a lot of you would really be interested in following up on a video that would be that long. I'm not. It's already taken me 6 minutes to just introduce this video. So, that being said, I decided I would simplify the list and only look at characters who show up in 4 books or more. That still leaves me with about 12 people to cast, and funnily enough, the Netflix series already cast all of the people I've thought about casting. So you have a great basis of comparison with every single choice I made. Some of them you might think are better, some of them you might think are worse, but these are mine, and these are the ones I want to present because these are the ones that I've also been asked to present, and I'll do so. All of the pictures you're about to see are taken either from DeviantArt or from IMDb. All of them will be linked in the description down below. And first of all, it'll be a side-by-side of a drawing of the character and the Netflix casting choice, and then I'll scroll down and reveal to you my casting choice. And that is why I've done this. That's why I've done this particular thing in Word. It allows me to place the pictures as I want to, and also keep a little bit of secrecy as to who's coming next. I might be able to do this with PowerPoint, but I haven't really figured out how to do that yet, and still keep this video in one take as per my gimmick. So I'm doing this with Word. Okay, with that way too long intro out of the way, let's get started with Tissaia de Vries, or De Vries. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced in full in the Netflix adaptation. So I'm just gonna call her De Vries, or just Tissaia. The casting choice, the casting in this particular instance is actually quite good. So Anna Burning Myanna Burning. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to say her name, and I've seen different instances throughout. She does embody a lot of what I think. She does embody quite a bit of what I think Tissaia really should be like, because she is the teacher of the or one of the teachers of the Sorceress Academy, and as such she has a lot of prestige, a lot of authority, but also a surprising amount of candor and gentleness and relatability to her. And Netflix was able to cast that somewhat well, but I think, me personally, I think there is a better choice for Tissaia, namely Esme Bianco, better known as Ross from Game of Thrones. And yes, she will not be the only Game of Thrones alum you'll see in this video. I've followed up with her filmography ever since then, and I have to say, she actually has a lot of range and a lot of versatility, and I think she can bring that to Tissaia as well, and really make her come alive and make her seem her authentic self. Okay, next up we go to another sorceress, Francesca Findabair. She is also the queen of the elves in the books, and as such has a lot of prestige on both sides. from both sides, not just as a sorceress, but also as a political figure. The elves themselves are actually more of a an oppressed minority, which, to its credit, the Netflix adaptation depicted quite well, if a little blunt, and therefore her position is bound to be a little bit more controversial, or a little bit more complex than that of other sorceresses. And so but she is able to carry it with a lot of grace and a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. That is something that I really think is the most important thing to translate. And I have no recollection of whether or not Misha Simpson, the actress Netflix cast, really is able to do that. Or if she is, I guess I haven't been paying enough attention to notice. So therefore, I will present to you my own choice for who should play Francesca. Chloe Grace Moretz. Yes, that is where I'm going with it. I think she does have she has enough of a reputation by now in Hollywood that people know what she's like, and she can carry this kind of more complex, more delicate role in a manner that will be relatable to normies. But also she has this kind of she can bring this kind of ethereal grace and also strength to her role, and that is something that I think that is a combination that I think will work best for this particular character. Next up, once again sticking with the sorceresses, we have Philippa Eilhart. You'll notice that Philippa has those things around her eyes. I don't know if they're mentioned in the books, but I will say that a lot of drawings depict her blindfolded, which, yeah, I don't know where that's coming from, because I don't think any description in the book really says she has a blindfold or something like that. Philippa is a very interesting figure, because after the initial order of sorcerers and sorceresses gets dismantled during the books for reasons I won't get into because they are quite spoilerific, Philippa starts out her own lodge that is exclusively of sorceresses, and as an advisor to King Foltest, who is deeply involved within the war that drives this entire franchise, she is just like Francesca, a powerful player, both in the magical realm and the political realm of the story. And she will be played by will be played or is played by Cassie Clare in the Netflix adaptation. How effective she is in her role, I don't know, but really the books haven't really reached a point where she would show off what she's really capable of, or what makes her distinctive. So I'm not gonna blame her for not being memorable enough. But still, I think there is one actress who could play Philippa Eilhart a little bit better. That actress is Karen Gillan. Like, she has that. I think she has that necessary level of charisma and can project the authority that she would require in order to start her own lodge, and really believably wield a lot of power and influence within this world, and not just among normies, but also among other power players. So yeah, for that reason, Karen Gillan is my Gillan. I'll say Gillan. Karen Gillan is my choice to play Philippa Eilhart. And now to talk about Philippa's partner in crime, Sigismund Dijkstra. Dijkstra in the books is the chief of Redanian intelligence, and he rose to his position after starting out as a commoner in the Redanian army. He is very much a self-made man and the biggest Chad in the entire franchise. Like, this guy right here, not only he is a commoner, but he looks eye to eye to kings and sorcerers, and is like so supremely confident and self-assured and and witty that he just knows, you will do as I say. I I will take over any amount of power over you, and his word is law, and he does it all through grit, determination, and the right insight. He is very much a Chad, and he is one of the most interesting characters in the entire franchise. The Netflix adaptation has pitched Graham McTavish to play him. That's a decent pick. I'll say so myself. I haven't really been able to see a lot of Graham and what exactly he can do with this kind of character, but I think he can do a good job. Nevertheless, I still think there is one casting choice for Sigismund that is better, and that is Mark Strong. Like, seriously, look at this Chad face. Look at this guy and tell me you do not think he could move mountains and seas in order to get whatever he wants done. That is who Dijkstra is. That is he is, and I think that is who Dijkstra is. That is who Dijkstra should be, and especially in adaptations. And Mark Strong, perhaps more than any other actor alive right now in Hollywood, does embody that does embody that, and can also make for a very interesting and charismatic presentation of this guy. Okay, moving on. Sticking to the political realm, if I'm not mistaken, we got Emhyr var Emreis, the emperor of the Nilfgaardian emperor. And in some ways the main villain of the political level of the story. And as the Netflix adaptation has already spoiled, he is also Dunny, the very secretive and or elusive father of Ciri, one of the main three of this show. He is uh, he is kind of a hard character to pin down, because in the books we don't really spend a lot of time with him, either as Dunny or as the Emperor. But he does project that level. He does project in both adaptations a certain level of both earnestness and ruthlessness, and he does have that aura that allows him to take command of almost any situation. Like, you believe that this man isn't just that this man might be born into power, but he has very much also proven himself worthy of that power, at least according to the standards of this society. Bard Edwards is an interesting choice as far as a character like this is concerned, but I don't know. He doesn't really. I don't really buy him as this character. And in fact, he's quite difficult to cast, because you have to cast someone who is both a honor-bound knight and a ruthless emperor. It might almost make sense to cast two different people, given that we only see the emperor in two different stages of his life that are like 16 years apart. But honestly, I want to stick with and giving him with him being played by just one actor, someone who has that level of both complexity and intensity uh, to convincingly play both facets of him. And I think the best choice for that is Richard Madden. I told you Esme Bianco wasn't going to be the only Game of Thrones alum. He has already proven his chops playing Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, and has kept busy ever since. Like, he is an in-demand man, and he knows how to bring forth that those levels of complexity to the screen, and therefore pretty much any adaptation, and therefore I trust him to uh, take on that role and see what he can make out of it. Moving on, we have Triss Merigold. Okay, I did not expect her this soon. Like, I made this document, but still, sometimes the ordering surprises me. Triss Merigold is another sorceress within the story. I'm not sure if she's part of the lodge that Philippa starts out during the end, but I can tell you she is a veteran of the Battle at Sodden Hill. I think she's at one point believed to be deceased, but it turns out she isn't actually deceased. Anyway, that's besides the point. In the books, she shows she no she does show up in Philippa's lodge. I would not put her here put her up here otherwise. Triss in the books takes on a big sister slash mentor role towards Ciri during her stay with the Witchers, and I always found their particular relationship dynamic to be somewhat interesting, and also she provides an interesting contrast to Geralt, at least especially when compared to Yennefer. That is more in the games than in the actual stories, but you know, all adaptations in some way build upon what previous works have accomplished, so to speak. Therefore, it is important to consider that. And Anna Schafer has been cast for the Netflix adaptation, and the problem with Anna's Triss is that she is more of a maternal rather than sisterly figure, and really I want someone who has that level of spunk, so to speak, someone who is still youthful, still dynamic, and is able to show off that level of enthusiasm and grit. And Anna doesn't really have that. So who has that? Well, another actor who has shown up in Harry Potter, but had a longer tenure. That's right, Emma Watson. By now, Emma really needs no introduction. Not only did she star in a role that defined a generation, she has become quite busy outside of that role that defined a generation, and arguably used her fame to the highest and most positive extent. That being said, I think she is still involved in acting, and I think she has a lot of that grit and that enthusiasm that would make Triss Merigold that much more of a dynamic, intriguing character. Okay, next up we have Cahir ap Ceallach. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce that word, but I'm sticking to it. He is the knight with a winged helmet who tried to capture Ciri during the conquest of Sintra. He failed, and then spent a lot of the rest of his books trying to atone for that mistake. Or it's kind of a difficult, because he's not atoning towards Nilfgaard. He is atoning towards himself, because he realized he can't go into Nilfgaard as a knight of the realm anymore. So he has to figure out, well, what else is he supposed to do with his life? What exactly he does with his life, I'll not reveal, but it is a somewhat intriguing thing to notice. He was played by Eamon Farren in the adaptation. So yeah, I'm sorry that this is the best picture that IMDb decided to give him. And honestly, I don't think he does have a somewhat larger role in the adaptation, but that is more because of a side story that isn't in the books and doesn't really add anything to the to the narrative that the show itself is trying to put together. So, yeah. That being said, still, I don't think Aemon would really work for the kind of adaptation I want to see made of the Witcher. Whether or not he will be effective in what Netflix has in store, I don't know. But I'm not really casting for Netflix and for Lauren Schmidt Hisrich. I'm casting for me and for my premises. And for my premises, I want a Cahir Ceallach who has the who can believably pull off a sullen knight, someone who carries some level of sorrow or regret or remorse, but still holds himself to that particular level of esteem that he has to be better, or that he has to perform to some extent to a higher, better degree than those around him. For that reason, my casting choice is Liam Hemsworth. This is mainly on the strength of his performance as Gale Hawthorne, but even outside of that, he's a familiar face and name, so a lot of brand recognition, and he also has the I think he has the acting ability to really really pull off that particular level of complexity to this character. For that reason, I think he is the best choice for Cahir. Cahir mor Griffin Aip Ceallach. I have no clue if I've said any of that correctly. Anyway, moving on, we arrive at Vilgefortz of Roggeveen, who in many ways is the direct big bad of the entire story. Sorry, got a few hairs a bit crazy. Always happens. Anyway, Vilgefortz. He was a big shot in the Wizard Associations before the war with Nilfgaard, only to and in the books he becomes a small spoiler alert, by the way. He becomes a sort of a Luciferian figure, someone who ends up betraying them because he has his own ambitions that would lead to him taking on major positions of power, and he has no qualms as to how he intends to do so, and is able to move in many ways heaven and earth in order to really get this stuff done. He does not think small, and he will not stop at almost anything to get his vision accomplished. In the Netflix adaptation, he is played by Mahesh Jadul, and he's actually the main character the main character that really discouraged me from doing the casting video as I had originally planned it, because it turns out he was in the did actually show up in the Netflix adaptation, but I did not recognize him as such. Mahesh Jadoo, or his performance of Vilgefortz, is way too low key and way too subtle to really work. Like you cannot go understated with Vilgefortz, because he is very much a commanding presence. And Mahesh, with all due respect, you did not really bring that. Who do I think would bring that level of that kind of commanding presence? Benedict Cumberbatch. Like seriously, he has the charisma, he has the presence, and he also has the and maybe not necessarily the authority, but he is able to project that level of authority and confidence to where you recognize, okay, this guy is a real deal. This guy is someone we'd better have on our side. So yeah, for that reason, Benedict Cumberbatch is my Vilgefortz. And now we're moving up to the main quartet of this entire franchise, starting with Dandelion. There are a few different pronunciations of his name, either Dandelion, like the flower, or as I pronounced it with an I. I prefer the pronunciation with an I because, well, it's a combination of dandy, the male styling choice, and lion. And honestly, looking at the DeviantArt depiction, wouldn't you say, yeah, that's definitely him? Wouldn't you say he is a dandy lion? Yeah. Anyway, puns aside, Dandelion is the troubadour who doesn't really accompany Geralt, but often encounters him during his quests and his adventures, and actually writes various songs and ballads about him. They do it often enough that Geralt is able to recognize his quirks and can piece together what his creative process looks like. It is quite entertaining to observe, if I may say so myself. And a lot of their banter within the books is very charming, very wholesome, and very amusing. Joey Beatty, to his credit, is actually very well cast. Like, I think of all the casting choices made throughout this entire franchise, Joey Beatty is perhaps the best, as in he is able to he has been able to best really bring that kind of character to life. However, there are some small things that I don't really think work for him. Namely, he is supposed to be ethereally beautiful to the point where he is often mistaken for an elf. And with all due respect to Joey Beatty, that does not suit him. So, for that reason, my pick for Dandelion, the one of only three characters who shows up in all 8 books of the franchise, or all 8 English language books of the franchise, is Timothée Chalamet. Now I know. This guy is pretty much on the wrong side of overrated right now, but look at that face. Just look at it. Look at it. He's perfect. He matches that beauty ideal. And I also think based on his filmography so far, he is able to bring forth both that level of grace, that level of maturity, and that level of mischief. It very much characterizes Dandelion, and that makes him an exciting character to watch. I'm moving the laptop a little because I'm filming during the day and the sun is coming over my face. Anyway, now that we've discussed Dandelion, let's move on to Ciri. Cirilla Fiona Ellen Rhiannon. The lion cub of Cintra, the lady of time and space. She gets to do a lot in this story, and is in fact, in many ways, even though the book series is named after Geralt, she is in fact the one who goes on the traditional hero's journey over the course of this story, and goes from a somewhat rambunctious but still pampered princess to a mighty warrior. And she's not just a warrior. She is a sorceress, and in many ways a culmination of all of the positive efforts all of her educators and parental figures have shown her. And she's absolutely awesome. Freya Allen's performance is a little more subdued, but then again, the character herself is also a little more subdued. She is more of a dutiful princess rather than a rambunctious one, which Yeah, I think, and for that particular role, for someone who learns, who has to learn how to discover her strength, as opposed to someone who knows that she already has some level of strength and has to contain it. Um, that works. But for a more book accurate Ciri, I I would choose to cast Nell Tiger Free. Uh, she is another Game of Thrones alum who shows up in this video. She actually played Marcella Baratheon in her death scene, if I'm not mistaken. She actually and within what is admittedly a very small role, all things considered, she is capable of showing quite a bit of range, quite a bit of dimension. And I've noticed that she is that she has expanded her filmography since. So I'm pretty sure she has been able to portray uh, uh, a lot more varied characters, and that level of experience will really come in handy for uh, for showcasing who Ciri is and what it is that she actually finds um, what she actually finds meaningful, important, and also interesting. Moving on, we arrive at Yennefer of Vengerberg, the one character that the Netflix adaptation does the dirtiest. And of course, she is my favorite character. I will say this to the Netflix series credit. It would have been very easy to just keep her as a stone-faced bitch for most of the story, which yeah would have still given her fans, but it would not have really given her would not really have given her the dimension she really requires. Uh, and because, truth be told, the books do give her a lot of dimension, but it comes through in subtler ways, namely in how she interacts with the rest of society. And by that I mean both normies and other sorceresses. She still has a bit of a chip on her shoulder from her time before she became a sorceress, and because of that, she is more careful and more nuanced in how she presents herself. She is somewhat of a libertine, but only in small circles and only among people she genuinely actually trusts. Otherwise she is more stoic and more professional. But still, she is a serious, determined, and assertive badass. And to Anya Shalotra's credit, she actually plays her quite well. And in the sequences of the Netflix show where she is able to give us the strong, silent, and assertive Yennefer, she knocks it out of the park. Like it's amazing. It's amazing every time I see it. But overall, I still think while I think she's a good choice, she is not the best possible choice. The best possible choice, I would say, is Mila Kunis. I already revealed that she would be my best possible choice in that anniversary video that I mentioned. But really, and now I'm going to expand upon it. Mila Kunis, first of all, I've seen enough of her filmography to know that she is capable of a little more complexity than what she's typically associated with, which is like what Meg Griffin. Like, she does do a lot of comedies, and in those comedies, her role within jokes is often, wow, she is very hot, or she's often talked over. So she is much more of a much more of a straight man figure than someone who actually actively builds up on the jokes. But she can do somewhat more, and especially if her time on that '70s show is anything to go by. So, and even aside from that, like there are glimpses uh, in stuff like Jupiter Ascending, where she does show that she can that she can embody or she can display a character who has more of a tragic history or mindset. And it comes through in subtle but interesting ways. And for that reason, I think she would be perfect to play Yennefer. And now we move on to the main event and main character of this entire series, Geralt of Rivia, the titular Witcher, the White Wolf, the Butcher of Blaviken. I think we prefer to go by the White Wolf rather than be known for what he did at Blaviken. He is in many ways an interesting character. By that I mean that it is tempting to see him as that because of his outcast status, his outcast status, and the fact that he has a history that is somewhat tragic, as an orphan boy who was then experimented on in order for him to become a Witcher. You could delve into a lot of tragedy or a lot of darkness, but Geralt himself is actually much more of a jokester and relies a little bit more on his cool charisma and his reputation rather than any level of intimidation or pity. He is he has a lot of and that level of charisma is really what drives a lot of this story, but not all of it. Behind that level of cold charisma and there is also a layer of professionalism, as in he absolutely knows what he does, and he is an absolute master at it, and that comes through in how he in how he prepares for his jobs, how he talks about his jobs. It is it is something that made the books 10 times more interesting to read, and and that is something that I don't think the Netflix series really was really able to translate that well. With all due respect to Henry Cavill, he does actually play him well, or at least I'll say he plays him better in the second season rather than the first. But still, he is not Geralt. Also, he has the thing that he is bulkier than Geralt really should be. A lot of the books, when it comes to combat, really emphasize Geralt's speed and his agility. He doesn't. While he does have a lot of strength, but he doesn't really rely on it during a fight. He relies a lot more on being able to outmaneuver rather than outpower any kind of opponents. And Henry doesn't really inspire that inspire anything like that in me. So who does inspire that? Colin Donnell. Yeah, some of you might know him as Tommy Merlin from Arrow, and truth be told, the guy who played his father, John Barrowman, would have also been a pretty interesting choice. But John Barrowman has a much more bombastic presence. Geralt is ironically a little bit more subdued, and is more intimately affable rather than openly so. And I think he was called Geralt himself was actually called a mascot of the neoliberal anti-politics that were predominant in Poland after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So therefore him embodying that that level of a certain level of apathy, but still keeping himself to some extent approachable, is something that I think is more meaningful to is more meaningful to how this character should be portrayed. And for that reason, I think Colin Donnell is the best possible fit uh, for Geralt. And yeah, those have been my casting choices. In case you're wondering what's on these next pages, well, it's all the links where I found all the pictures you've seen. I'll put them in the description down below as well, so you can check them out for yourself. Anyways, with that out of the way, thank you very much for your attention. Also, notice how long this video is. Now, can you imagine how long it would have taken if I would have talked about 18 characters? Anyway, once again, thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and leave a like, and maybe even share this video wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to any one of my choices, the comment section awaits your input. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about more bookish and literature topics, which will be linked very far down in the description, right past my social media, which I also suggest you check out should you feel so inclined. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.